So we are in for a treat today. Welcome to day 4. Can't believe it's already day 4. It's crazy. Um, we are going to receive the teachings and the wisdom of Philip Shepherd, and he was not able to be here live with us. So this is a recording of a conversation that he and I had a few days before the conference began. It was kind of the first session of the conference in some ways. And it's a beautiful one. I'm really looking forward to experiencing it again, his work and his wisdom. But before we begin, let's just take a moment and arrive together and arrive into our bodies a little bit. And if you'll join me in just opening your hands in some way that feels good for you, and beginning to tune in your body and perhaps open your heart a little. And we can open our mind a little. And we can open our sit bones and feel that gravity giving us a place to belong here, now, in this moment. And just resting for a moment in this open awareness. Opening our hands, our heart, our mind to receive this day, these teachings, and to give it all a place to land in the body. Beautiful. And then let's do one more thing together. This is a little bit of a thread to yesterday, to Dr. Sue's presentation. We didn't really have a chance to kind of feel the central breathing that she was guiding us into. We got a little bit, but not quite all of that moment. And for those of you who didn't get to see her presentation, I highly recommend that you go back and check it out. It was a powerful download of information. In fact, you could purchase the conference just to listen to that one 2 or 3 times. Um, and one of the things that she was guiding us around that's a core part of her practice and something that I value a lot and use a lot is breathing through the central channel of the body, collecting our energy into the central channel of our body. Okay, so we can open our field to receive, and we can also anchor in to this central channel so that we're present here. So we're going to do 2 parts of this. We're going to work with squeezing 3 different areas in the body. So let's work one at a time. So we're going to work first with the perineum, the root chakra. It feels like you're squeezing like a Kegel, like you're holding your pee. See if you can bring your awareness and squeeze gently your perineum. It's like it brings awareness, it brings attention, it brings energy flow to this point, and then just let it go. And then gently squeeze again. I hope it feels good. Sometimes it's a little hard to feel, but then there's a moment where it just feels good. I hope you get that. And then gently let that go. And then one more time, just gently squeeze. And then leaving that just gently squeezed, let's also bring our attention to the heart center and kind of drop your shoulders and squeeze your shoulder blades together a little bit. And you can feel that it kind of gently squeezes the heart center. Okay, so now we're kind of with our attention on both of these points and just a gentle squeeze, yeah? It's enough that it's happening, but not that you're straining or efforting too much, okay? And then just let both of those go for a moment. And then squeeze both again. Beautiful. And leave those squeezed. And now let's go to the last point up in the third eye of your head. And you're going to just kind of like roll your eyes up a little bit. And it brings enough, it engages the muscles so that you can imagine with your imagination that the third eye is getting squeezed, okay? So this is the third point of squeezing. Ready? And then let all three go. And then gently squeeze all three. Beautiful. And just leave them kind of gently squeezed. And now we're going to just work with our breath kind of up and down the body, but it's going to take a full breath cycle to go down and a full breath cycle to come up. So we're going to breathe down and kind of pause in the belly and then exhale down into the earth, and then from the earth back into the belly and exhale back up the channel. So that it's taking a full breath to go down and a full breath to go up. Okay? So let's just see if we can do this together and bring our attention, have these 3 points, just gently squeeze, bring our attention all the way up into that universal source of energy above. And we're going to inhale down. Ready? Inhale. Down into the belly, and exhale down to the earth. And inhale back up again to the belly. Exhale up through the body, out the top again. And inhale back to the belly. Down, and exhale out to the earth. Inhale up into the belly, and out up the channel. And one last time, inhaling down. Exhaling from the belly to the earth. And inhaling up into the belly. And out, up the channel to above. And just let all the points go. Maybe you shake your body out a little bit. That looked good, Irene. And just for a moment, settle and feel soft belly. And from this place, let's receive Philip's interview. I'll introduce you to him in the interview. Welcome everyone to the Embodied Movement Conference and this session with Philip Shepherd. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you, Philip, to have the opportunity for you to share your wisdom with the conference. I consider you one of the giants in the field of embodiment. I think that your books have done more for bringing the body forward into the conversation than anybody else that I know. I'm very grateful that you have the capacity to write them so succinctly and to plant that information and those seeds of awareness into the collective. I believe we still have a long way to go to bring the body into the conversation. And so I um, am looking forward to this moment with you and also to all the future things that you are going to bring forward. Let me tell you all a little bit about Philip so that you hear of him. He is the author of really three books now, two that he is the full author of, New World, New Self.
Or New
And
Self, New World.
oh, sorry, thank you so much.
No,
New Self,
minor
New World.
detail.
I am sure it's a very good distinction for you. Maybe you'll tell us about that in just a minute. And his second book, Radical Wholeness. And he has also more recently co-authored a book called Deep Fitness. He also originated the Embodied Presence Process,
Or
TEPP.
I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. The
That's
embodied, the embodied present process.
okay.
So what that is hoping to point towards is that it's not that I'm in here and the present is out there. When the body recovers its natural spaciousness of being, the present lives through you and is there to be discovered. So it's the embodied present.
Very nice. Thank you for that clarity. So, TEPP, the Embodied Present Process, is taught in workshops, retreats, facilitator trainings worldwide. It provides 100 gentle, unique practices to help people understand the effects of our disembodied culture and recover a deep, intimate presence for themselves. Sounds good, yes? As its practices help people reunite with the fathomless intelligence of the body, they resensitize to the present, reconnect with purpose, and discover a new kind of freedom and peace in their lives. Wow, what a beautiful bio, Philip. That was a pleasure to read, truly.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Philip, I wonder if there isn't maybe a short story about why the body became so important for you, why embodiment kind of came to the foreground, like just maybe a short little piece of how that arrived for you. Is that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, I invented a word in my youth, eleuthromaniac, from the Greek for freedom. So eleuthromaniac is someone with a mania for freedom. And that's characterized the whole of my life. And I was steeped in our culture's messages of aloneness and independence and taking charge and being in control. And so I was drawn into that whirlpool of self-consciousness, um, and was stuck there and knew that this was not the freedom I wanted. And the gravitational center of that whirlpool is in the head, is when we confine our thinking to the head. And and I've been an actor all my life. I've been physically active all my life. The you 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 eventually, as an actor, you arrive at the realization that as long as I'm in my head, the body will be wooden. It will be puppetry. And so to, as an actor, fully inhabit the body and allow that center to attune to the world, I was very fortunate because as a teenager, when I was 18, I left home and bought a bicycle and cycled through Europe and the Middle East and India and Japan. And in Japan, studied classical Noh Theater, in which every gesture arises from that deep knowing of the belly, which the Japanese call hara. Every every head that turns and sees from that place. And so I'd been imbued with that alternative to the way my culture thinks and sees, and grew into that as an actor. And well, one thing led to another, but I reclaimed my body. I made a journey back to it, that illuminated so many aspects of not just my life, but the culture in which we live.
That's beautiful, Philip. I love that story. I love the term, the hara, is such an important remembrance coming back in. I know this is a part of your work as well, but I also share this with you, the importance of coming back into a different center in the body, a re-remembering, a reawakening of a shift from the head to the belly is one way of saying it very, very simply.
Yeah.
I know that your talk today is on the difference, this a lot about the shift from out of our thinking, how much the thinking has kind of gotten us moving in a certain direction. And there's something that I've been really curious to ask you. And I wonder what you can kind of add to this or fill out. I remember hearing once Bruce Lipton say that the body is designed to feel its way through life. It is not designed to think its way through. And we, of course, have gotten that like kind of flipped and have put so much importance on our thinking mind and thinking our way through. But I have been on a quest to understand what he meant by that. What is it in the body that supports that statement that we are feeling, that we are designed to feel our way through life? Because intuitively, I know it to be true. I know it in my bones and I feel it. But I wonder if there's anything that you can add that helps to understand why that's true.
Absolutely. I mean, I use very similar terms. You're in felt relationship with the world, or you're in known relationship with the world. And I can look around, out the window around this room. I know everything that's here. There's nothing that is unknown to me. If I know everything, why would I bother to feel any of it? I know that's a tree. I know that's a cloud. There's no need to feel any of it. Well, in our culture, we are told that we are alone. There is no such thing as aloneness. You are held in the intimacy of the world at every moment. Your very inhale is bringing into your body the exhalations of forests that are becoming you. The marriage of earth and sky and in plants turns into your fingernails and your eyelashes when you eat. The world knows you, feels you more intimately than you can feel yourself. But once you buy into this illusion that our culture insists on, the illusion of independence, and I mean, I'm willing to be corrected, but I don't think there's one example of independence in the cosmos. Everything leans on everything. Everything affects everything. All there is this process of unfolding unity. But if you buy into that sense that you are alone, then it's like a domino effect. These consequences of that well, if I'm alone, then my inner life, my inner thoughts are strictly private. they don't affect the world. The world is buffered from affecting them. And then my number one job in life is to organize them in a way that feels good, that manages to be successful. And so what I do is I take the floodlight of my attention and turn it off the world and cast the world into darkness and place it on myself. And I start managing and supervising and trying to get it right. So now I have moved into a state that by definition is self-conscious. I am conscious of the self, and I'm organizing it. I'm organizing my thoughts. I'm organizing my feelings. I'm organizing my relationships. I'm organizing my day. I'm organizing bloody everything. And when organization becomes an obsession, you are immune to the present. I think the quality of being present is the quality of feeling yourself being organized by the present. Now, you've cast the world in darkness, and you're obsessed with the self. And so you have unmoored yourself from the guidance of the present. You're dull to it. It's like for me, here's the body. The body is a resonator. That's its true nature. You want embodiment? The spaciousness of your being is what enables you to resonate to the world around you, to be informed by the present. And with all that organizing, it's like stuffing the body full of these barriers and divisions and concerns. And so the present is going like this. But we are so mired in our self-consciousness that we are immune to that guidance. Well, when you're immune to the guidance of the present, your only recourse is to guide yourself, to think your way forward. That's all that's left. And so you put all your eggs in that basket of control and organization and management, and to that the inner work we do with embodiment is only for me, it's not that my truth lies within my body. It's not that I can reach down and find myself within the body. It's that when the body opens to the world, when the inner work enables me to integrate those shadows and consolidations and barriers and once again recover the natural spaciousness of my being, then my truth is found in relationship. My who I am is illuminated by relationship. It doesn't stand independent of that. So, I come into felt relationship with a tree and feel its being, and that illuminates me in a particular way, or with a child playing on the sidewalk, or bird song, or whatever it may be. I am illuminated by my relationships with the world. And the more deeply I come into felt relationship with the world, the more who I am in this moment is illuminated. And so I can feel my way forward, riding the guidance of the present the way a surfer rides a wave. Or I can enclose myself from that and plan and think my way forward.
Beautiful. I love your answer. The body as a resonator. I'm taking that with me for sure.
Mm.
And it's really beautiful to hear you have I feel like it's a very important and kind of unique perspective on the conversation of embodiment, in the sense of the way that you speak about it's not the truth isn't inside the body, it's inside the spaciousness and the interconnectedness. That is the sensation of knowing ourselves and remembering ourselves.
Yeah, what the body most deeply understands is that it belongs to the world. It recognizes itself in the life of a cricket, in the life, the being of a tree, in a stalk of grass. It feels its belonging to all of that. And what the body most deeply feels is the present. And so embodiment, if I may say so, is not about listening to the body. That's not embodiment. It's maybe a stage on the way to embodiment. There's times when it's necessary, when you're wounded, when you're in distress, yeah, pay attention. But what you're paying attention to is the contraction from spaciousness within the body, and how to recover spaciousness in order that you can listen to the world through the body. That, for me, is embodiment.
Beautiful. I love it. Let's let this be our segue into the rest of your presentation. I'm here to follow you and to participate and to experience and to support in any way I can.
Oh, that's lovely. So what I'd like to do is offer a framework for the practices, in order that they can gain traction for people in a significant way. I love that the purpose of the conference is to offer support for our evolutionary journey. I mean, I think it's obvious that we need a new way of being. The way of being to which we are currently committed is toxic in ways that are increasingly apparent. But what, to understand the way of being to which we are committed will enable us to make another choice. If we don't even know where we are and why we're there, we're just floundering within the same sandbox. So you mentioned this earlier. I think the primary wound with which we're inflicted, that we carry within us, is in the separation of our thinking from our being. And that's what public school does. I mean, you think about the structure over 12 years of sitting at a desk and suppressing the body's energy. And to suppress its energy is equivalent to suppressing its intelligence. And if you don't suppress it, you get in trouble. So you learn to suppress it. And meanwhile, you're filling your head with the ideas and facts and strategies that will enable you to win approval when grades are issued. And so it's like this reward and punishment system that eventually teaches us that we can think more clearly if we confine our thinking to the head and sort of turn a blind eye to everything that's happening below the neck. I mean, it's a preposterous conclusion. How could you imagine that you can think more clearly with a fragment of your intelligence than you can with the whole of your intelligence? But that separation is basically what defines our relationship to our bodies. And our relationship to the body is the template, it is the foundation for all of our other relationships. It doesn't get more fundamental than our relationship to the body. So this top-down relationship with the body is reflected in every single hierarchy in our culture, whether it's a bake sale or a multinational corporation, the leader of that organization is the head of that organization. And that's utterly natural to us because that's how we live with ourselves. And, the leader of the church, this institution based on faith and love, might be called the heart of the church, or might be called the lungs of the church because breath and spirit are so closely aligned. But no, that's wrong in our culture. It's got to be the head of the church because that's how we live in relationship to ourselves. That is what we need to see reflected in the world. And, in the way that we exiled mind from the body, we've exiled mind from matter. So, traditionally, matter is dead. And what we've done is we've consolidated mind up in the sky in the image of a God who is all-knowing and all-seeing, looking down at the matter around us. Well, matter, the word etymologically, comes from the word for mother. In our denigration of matter, we denigrate the female. And in the way that we've exiled mind from body, you see that reflected in the way we've exiled mind from the female. I mean, women, absolutely shouldn't be leaders because they're not as smart as men. And I mean, they flounder around, but they haven't got the truth the way men have. I mean, it's an abomination. But it's a consequence of how we live with our own bodies. We have denigrated the female within us. And I specifically feel the intelligence in my pelvic bowl as the female pole of my intelligence. It attunes to the world. That is how it thinks. And the intelligence in the head excels at perspective and organizing and anticipating. And there's value in that, but they're meant to work together. They're a unity. And we've severed that unity when we separated our thinking from our being. And there's an analogy that helps understand the difference between these two poles of our thinking, of our consciousness, which is the analogy between digital music and analog music. I think of fingers, digits. Digital information grasps bits and pieces like snapshots of information and assembles them and tries to make a whole of them. But there are interstices, there are gaps in that information. And that information needs to be interpreted in order to resemble what it began as. It began as music, and it becomes zeros and ones, and that is interpreted to become music again. The LPs with which I grew up are shaped by the music. The music moves the diaphragm of the microphone, which sends signals through to the stylus in the wax LP. And so the grooves in the LP are being shaped by the music itself. It is unmediated. We have within us the capacity for digital knowing and the capacity for analog knowing. The body resonates to the world in a way that is unmediated, in a way that doesn't lean on language, and we have basically sacrificed that way of knowing. That shows up most clearly in our relationship to wholeness. I believe our culture is blind to wholeness. We love wholeness. We shop at Whole Foods. We speak of wholeness, but what we're speaking of isn't wholeness. It is not a state that opens to all relationships and is informed by that field. So we've forgotten what it is to speak from our wholeness. We speak from our ideas. We've forgotten what it is to listen from our wholeness. We don't feel the present as a whole. I mean, you need to go on a 5-day retreat to come back to feeling the present as a whole. All there is wholeness. If you're not feeling the present as a whole, you're not feeling the present. And we can't find guidance in wholeness. We can't move forward in wholeness. And we've forgotten what it is to think with the whole of our beings. So when thinking and being come together, you feel every thought resonate through your body. Every thought, it's like it sublimates within the spaciousness of the body and resonates there and finds clarity as it emerges in a word or a phrase. And every sensation in the body is recognized as a form of thinking. There's no sensation that runs through you that isn't a form of thinking, but we've denigrated that and elevated the abstract way of knowing, which, excels at perspective. But when you gain perspective, you have to distance yourself. You can only gain perspective at a distance. You don't have perspective when you're in the middle of it. You step back from it, which the head is great at, and perspective is great. But to live in that faculty is to live at a distance from your body, from your life, from the world around you. And then you wonder why you feel alone and alienated and anxious and out of sorts. Because you're stuck in that whirlpool of self-consciousness. So that's sort of the context that I was hoping to provide. And so far it's just words. So let's bring that into a practice. I think it's worth a little warm up as we've been sitting. So I'd invite you can either remain sitting or you can stand. I think if people are listening to this, they'd have more fun if they stand. And the body moves in circles. It's just the way it happens. We think of walking in a straight line or throwing a ball in a straight line, but it happens through, if you throw a ball in a straight line, it's not going to work. It needs the arc and the circle to generate the speed and accuracy that you're looking for. So let's play with circles just as a little warm-up and bring your awareness to the atlas joint. This is where the skull meets the top cervical vertebra. And at a very, very subtle level, as gently as you can, just let the head circle on the atlas. And it's a smooth, easy, subtle little circle. It glides around the atlas. And then bring your awareness to the base of the neck, where the neck meets the shoulders. And just find for yourself a little circle and let the body follow it. So you're just moving that in a circle in any direction you wish, just to play with that freedom of the circle. And you notice the rest of the body following that is starting to move in circles as well. And then just allow yourself to accentuate that. Play with a shoulder. Let a shoulder move in any kind of a circle it wants to. And the other shoulder. And feel the circles of the elbows moving. And the wrists. And you'll feel that naturally come into the hips. And the hips enjoy that freedom of moving in curves and ease, and the knees are already moving in circles, and you can just be aware of that. And there's so many circles happening through the body, and just play with it in your own way, in whatever way it shows up for you. And then bring your awareness to the breath, and just release the body to the in-breath, release the body to the out-breath, even as the circles are playing away. And I think that'll at least bring us back into the body enough that we can begin a practice. And again, you can do the practices sitting, you can do the practices standing. I'd invite listeners to move around if they wish to, or just sit still, and whatever feels right to you. I'd like to begin with a stillness that brings your awareness to the pelvic floor. And if you know where your perineum is, you can put the attention there. If you're not sure where your perineum is, be aware of your sit bones, and the perineum is sort of in between them, just slightly forward. And what I'd like you to do is to imagine a small balloon at the perineum. And that balloon, that little balloon, fills with the in-breath and releases with the out-breath. So I'd invite you to bring your awareness to as subtle a level as you can, and let this be the gentlest thing you've ever experienced. Your breath fills that little balloon gently, gently, and you feel the balloon release on the out-breath. And as you bring your awareness to that subtle level, just notice how your sense of the present adjusts. And then allow the balloon to grow, and it fills the pelvic bowl, just below the belly button, not above that, but that bowl that lies below the belly button is now filling with the balloon. The balloon is big enough that on the in-breath, the pelvic bowl fills with the breath. And that balloon releases with the out-breath. And just feel that balloon as gently as you can, opening to the in-breath and releasing to the out-breath. And then allow the balloon to grow down each side into the legs. So the balloon now fills the pelvic bowl and the legs. And again, the balloon inflates. And the pelvic bowl and the legs fill with air. And it gently deflates. And you feel the air releasing. And as that happens, you may actually feel the legs themselves gently expanding with the in-breath and gently settling back with the out-breath. The legs and the pelvic bowl. And allow it to be subtle and gentle. We're not looking for anything dramatic. We are coming down to a subtle level where life most readily reveals itself. Then allow that balloon to grow up into the belly. So the whole of the belly, below the chest, the pelvic bowl and the legs, gently inflate with the in-breath and gently deflate with the out-breath. You may notice within the balloon how fluid the body is, how spacious the body is. Really, really include the legs in the balloon. Our culture really treats the legs as though they're prosthetics that perambulate us around, and they are living conduits of energy between us and the earth. Allow that balloon then to expand up into the chest and feel the balloon in its wholeness. The legs, the pelvic bowl, the belly, the chest. It is one expanding unity. It is a unity releasing to the out-breath. And notice as gently as you can all the little sensations that accompany every in-breath, every out-breath. And allow the balloon to grow down each arm. So there is one inflating unity from the soles of your feet to the fingertips. And it's as though the body itself were a balloon, gently inflating with the in-breath and gently releasing to the out-breath. And finally, allow the balloon to grow up into the head so that it fills the entire body. And the whole of your body gently floats open with the in-breath and gently settles back with the out-breath. And be aware that the breath moving through the body is like a wave. And feel how the breath invites the body back into an experience of its natural fluidity. We are 65% water. We are fluid beings. And to feel that within yourself recovered by the breath wave is to come home to your true nature. And you begin to feel the ocean of the body revealed by the breath wave. The ocean within your skin. And just for the moment, imagine that the head is a goldfish bowl, and you feel it holding that ocean, that part of the ocean within it. And I'd invite you to feel your thoughts swimming through the goldfish bowl. And this will be a familiar experience. And just track them. They move, they wiggle, they subside. And just feel your thoughts swimming through the head. As clearly, as specifically as you can. And in the bottom of the goldfish bowl, there is a valve. And that valve gently opens to the ocean below, and you feel your thoughts swimming down through that valve into the body, and let them go where they will, and feel your thoughts as they explore the body and they swim through it. You may find them swimming down through the legs to the soles of your feet. You may find them swimming through the back, through the arms. They may return to the head. There's nowhere they can't go. They are alive to the whole of the ocean within you. And they're just on their own, swimming through the body. And then they begin to find each other. One thought finds another, and they come together. And they find a third, and they come together. And there is a school of thoughts gathering in the body, moving as one. And finally, all the thoughts have been gathered into that school, and you feel the unity of that thinking as it swims through the body. And just let it go where it will. Let it explore as it will. And then gently, gently invite that school to find its way into the pelvic bowl on its own time. And as it settles in the pelvic bowl, feel it dropping down to the pelvic floor, to where that original little balloon began. And feel that school of fish come to rest on the pelvic floor, on the perineum, on that center within you. And your thinking is a unity at rest within the body, at rest within the world. And the more deeply you allow that school of thoughts to merge and come to rest, the more deeply you'll find yourself coming to rest in the present. And just allow your being to adjust to that gathering, that unity of your thought at rest on the perineum. And then I'd like you to bring your awareness to a spot that mirrors the perineum, at the very top of the skull, at the very center of it. And that spot mirrors the perineum across that distance through the body. And allow them to come into felt relationship with each other, as though each senses its counterpart in the other. They belong together. And the bond between them becomes clearer and clearer. And as it does, that too affects your being. And allow your being to adjust to that awareness, that bond. And I'd like you to imagine a violin string, an axis of attunement, joining that spot at the top of the center of your skull, down through the spaciousness of the body to the perineum. And feel that string as clearly as you can. And be aware that just like a violin string, you can tune it. You can slightly lengthen it. Let it go a little slack. You can attune it, and as you attune it, allow your eyes to rest on some object around you and feel that axis within you attuning to it, and feel its presence through that attunement as clearly as you can. And play with the attunement until you find that sweet spot. And your being and its being are together. You feel its presence within you, just as you feel your presence in it. And then allow your gaze to find something else around you. And again, feel that axis of attunement between that point at the top of the skull at the very center and the perineum, and allow yourself to attune to it. It may be just a leaf, it may be a pencil, it may be anything, it may be a tree out the window. And take the time to find that sweet spot through which you attune to its being. And you feel its being within you. And then attune to the space you're in, to allow your awareness to gently dilate into this space and find that sweet spot of attunement that lets you feel this space as specifically as you can within the spaciousness of your being. And it's so simple. You are just here, placed here by being located within the flux of this space. And then allow your awareness to dilate further still so that it opens to the borderless present. And again, allow that axis within you to attune to the whole. And there's no need to seek a conclusion or find words or pin it down. Attunement is just attunement. Attunement is feeling the world through the body. And let it be the easiest, simplest thing you've ever done in your life. attuning to the present without expectation, without judgment. Let yourself be. Let the present be. And cherish that attunement. And as you attune to the present, and your awareness of the present shimmers through you, you may be aware that the present is also aware of you. You are held in a mutual awareness. And in that mutual awareness, there is a source of guidance that is always there to help you take the next step. By attuning to its harmony, you open to the possibility of dancing with that harmony. However that shows up for you. And that brings this practice to a formal close, but I would invite you to carry it forward with you, to remember it's always available. And I'm hoping you got from it a sense of the capacity within us for what I call analog thinking, which is so very different from the way we tend to reach for facts and figures and digital information.
Wow. Thank you, Philip.
My great pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity.
I can even feel, tears of attunement.
Mm.
My question for all of us presenting here is, how can embodied movement support what's happening? And your answer is quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Attunement.
And just to say, it's how we survived for millennia. We, the Magdalenian period of the late Paleolithic is been called the original leisure society, because they were so attuned to their world. The plants spoke to them. They could feel the animals moving around them. They attuned, and it's that faculty, that gift of exchange and relationship that enabled us to survive in harmony with the world around us. If you don't feel the harmony of the world, how can you possibly join it?
Absolutely. What a gift of reconnection, the possibility of being able to experience through the body, being in relationship with the whole, and in return feeling our own wholeness.
And I think, it's really difficult to feel wholeness until you feel the mystery that makes it whole.
Yes,
And that thinking your way forward obliterates your sensitivity to that
yes,
mystery, and the body brings you back to it with this warm embrace.
exactly. Absolutely. The body is our ticket to the mystery. And in that way, it is that feminine receptor, the vehicle through which we can taste and touch and feel and experience the mystery. And
Absolutely.
that is the only thing that's going to get us through. We're definitely not going to be able to think our way through this one.
No, and that's what we're indoctrinated to try to do, is to outthink life.
Yeah,
Can't be done.
yes. So here's to our journey of learning to connect the thinking to the body, to use the whole intelligence.
To
Yes.
recognize your being as your medium of thinking. And
Beautiful. Say
yeah,
that again.
to recognize your being as your medium of thinking. They're the same thing.
Yes. Yes. Only we have separated them.
And it's an old story, that separation. It goes back to the Neolithic Revolution. I mean,
Mm.
in in Timaeus, a dialogue by Plato, the head is described as the divine sphere created by the gods, and the body is the vehicle we've been given to move the head around. That's 350 BC. It's so
Yeah.
so the challenge we face is to recognize where we are and how we got there, in order that we can make choices that move us into a new way of being.
Yes. I appreciate that addition of the story, of embracing the story,
Yeah.
of having the capacity to see the story so that we can then begin to shift. So, thank you so much, Philip, for
My
your
great,
beautiful,
my great pleasure, Amara. It's
your
been a
beautiful
delight
presence.
spending this time with you.
Yes, and delightful to experience the present with you.
Thank you.
I look forward to continuing in some way. I hope to
Yeah,
see
me
you
too.
again.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. All the best.
Same to you. Wow, huh? Beautiful to receive him, yes? I just love men who can speak so clearly and be so heart centered in their expression and so body attuned. It's really beautiful. And I can feel the seed that he planted for us, the attunement, feeling the world through the body in that spacious embrace, and that it's reciprocal, it's mutual. The world is communicating to us, and we are one in that way. So thank you, Philip. And I know I want to read some of your beautiful comments just to put them into the field. And thank you for putting his the links to his work. I saw somebody ask, does he have trainings? Absolutely. And he trains both in the United States and in Europe. So let's just read a few of these out loud to each other as we complete here together. I had a profound experience of feeling at one with the trees. This has given me so much clarity. Attunement is a beautiful opening. I agree. With this new awareness brings tears of joy to my eyes. Philip's message is so powerful for me. I'll need to hear it over and over again to absorb all the fruits and wisdoms. Absolutely. I think it's very clear that there's a benefit of having the collection to be able to go back to. So, and then we'll gather all together again in an hour for Jamie McHugh, who we couldn't, I think, I'm not sure how this schedule got planned exactly like it, but it's just turning out to be divine perfection. So Jamie McHugh is like the brother of Philip. Like I think it's going to be really interesting to hear them back to back. I'm excited to have this first. I've never actually met Jamie. I've heard about him for years, and I'm excited to get to be with him. So I invite you to come back in an hour, and thank you for your presence here in this moment.